Tiger Woods' victory was a huge moment for fans, but for sportsbooks in New Jersey and Nevada, the losses generated by Woods' historic come-from-behind win was a big seven-figure loss. Sports Superbook FanDuel Group said it lost $2 million on the victory. We'll be talking about that and much more on this edition of Money in the Morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning. I'm Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown Up Podcast, coming to you from my very grown up kitchen. My partner, Joe Saul-Sehy, is out today, but we are going to be covering a very interesting story about Tiger Woods and the betting industry and betting against Tiger Woods. We're not only going to read that headline and the story that goes with it like those other podcasts, we're also going to break it down and talk about why it matters to you, what you can take away from it to make your finances better, to live a richer life, and all good things. Money in the Morning is brought to you by Tiller. Manage your money 10 times faster in a spreadsheet with Tiller, the only service that connects your banks to Google Sheets and Excel with your daily spending, transactions, and balances. Go to stackingbenjamins.com/Tiller for more information. All right, good morning, everyone. As I mentioned, I'm Bobby Rebell from the Financial Grown Up Podcast. My partner, Joe Saul-Sehy, has the day off, but we will be tackling a story that I actually picked out with Joe because we were both fascinated by this, and it has to do with Tiger Woods and the Masters tournaments and all the people that bet against him, but the people that bet in his favor. Boy, was it a really big payoff. Let's get to the story. Here's Laura.
Good morning. You supply the coffee. We'll bring the headlines. Here they come.
And a special welcome to our Facebook Live audience. They are here with us at the tapings. And if you want to join us here, you can go to facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. We will be taking their comments, their questions, all of their wisdom as part of our show to bring to you our insights on these headlines. Let's go to the first headline, though, and that is coming to us from Tyler Durden at Zero Hedge. The headline is FanDuel loses $2 million on Tiger Woods' historic Masters comeback. Here we go. Even those who have never played a stroke of golf probably understand that Tiger Woods' historic Masters win on Sunday was a big moment, not just for a professional athlete who triumphed over a decade of scandal and adversity, but for America, a country that was built on the kind of grit and dedication displayed by Woods while capturing his fifth Masters title, his first in more than a decade. At 43, he became the second oldest person to win the tournament after Jack Nicklaus, who won the tournament in 1986 at age 46. Wow, we're learning all kinds of golf trivia for those of us that don't follow the sport so closely. While Tiger's victory was a huge moment for fans, for sportsbooks in New Jersey and Nevada, the losses generated by Woods' come-from-behind win amounted to seven figures. This part is in bold, everybody. Sports Superbook FanDuel Group said it lost $2 million on the victory. Another book, the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook, lost nearly $100,000. That doesn't actually sound that bad, relatively speaking, but it's still a lot of cash. A trader at it is the worst ever showing for the Masters. A trader at William Hill, U.S. said the company's book lost seven figures. According to Bloomberg, quote, "It's great to see Tiger back," Nick Bogdanovich, director of trading at William Hill, U.S. says. "It is a painful day for William Hill, our biggest golf loss ever, but a great day for golf." So at least he's being, gracious about it. The article goes on to say, however, Sunday's losses won't even begin to counterbalance the profits amassed during Woods' decade in the doghouse, where he remained a favorite of the betting public despite repeatedly disappointing on the course. It wasn't uncommon for Woods to be the betting favorite despite the long odds. And this is something I've been hearing about, sort of reading a lot of articles about this buzz, because people still love to bet on Tiger. Even though the odds were against him, he wasn't winning He wins with much less frequency when he does win. There's something that captivates people about Tiger, and they still were betting in his favor. Let's continue with the article. We quote, "We are still doing well overall with wagers involving Tiger," Jeff Sherman, vice president of risk at Westgate Superbooks, said in an email. That dynamic played out again on Sunday when 21% of bets on FanDuel's platform were for Woods to win it all, a total that led to a net loss of $1 million. On top of that, the company ran a promotion where it promised to refund all bets if Woods won the tournament. That cost it another $1 million. At William Hill, a Nevada resident placed an $85,000 bet on Woods to win it all, and that paid out $1.2 million on 14-1 odds, the largest single ticket payout in the casino's history, according to CBS News. The bet was so large that William Hill's staff had to reach out to the bettor to verify the ticket and that the bettor wasn't off by a digit or two. And now, following that, this is what happens after that. It changes the whole game because the wager was so large that it single-handedly pushed Woods to the 10-1 odds at William Hill. Now, not all sports books reported losses on Tiger's win, with at least one telling BBG that it broke even. Not all sports books, I should say, Tiger's win forced sports betting organizations to reevaluate the odds related to his career. So this has a macro impact. FanDuel is now giving him, guys, 5-1 odds of tying Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 major tournament wins. So there is a lot going on here. And this was a big surprise to many people, not only that follow golf, but also that just are interested in odds and strategy in betting, because the companies, they do a lot of research before they take these bets. And in order to stay in business, they have to be successful. They have a lot at stake. As they say in the article, they actually went and made sure that this person was betting so much, because it is so unusual to have so many, to have such a large bet. Kathy has a comment here, and she says, "Never count anybody out." Well, that is certainly a lesson, and I think it says a lot, as I mentioned, that a lot of people were not counting Tiger out. They weren't necessarily placing $85,000 bets that would turn into $1.2 million wins. But it is important that never to count out whether it's a person like a Tiger Woods, or the possibility that even if the odds are, let's say, 99% in your favor, that spin of the wheel, or whatever game of chance you're playing, or whatever thoughtful odds you're betting because someone, the odds are that it should come out in your favor, there is still that tiny chance that it may not come out in your favor. And so you never can completely count something out. And that is something that people certainly learned. It's going to be interesting to continue to watch if people change their strategies. Clearly, the specific odds are changing because Tiger, in theory, should be on a roll. However, that doesn't mean that these organizations that figure out the odds by doing the research and really paying attention to how things should play out based on the data that they can compile, how they will change their bets. So the data has changed. So that's why the odds of the payouts of certain golf players will shift, because the data has changed. But the way that they analyze it and the way that they set up their payouts should not change, and I don't expect them to change. We're going to get information about this pretty soon, though, because this is a big season for golf. There's a bunch of big tournaments coming up, including the PGA Championship, and then we have the U.S. Open in June. Then we have the British Open in July. So when you look at this, I think it'll be interesting if we step back after, let's say, 4 tournaments and see how well these betting houses do, because if they're doing their job right, and they have to be doing they have to be doing it right to stay in business over the long term, even if they do take these hits, and in this case a very large hit on a single tournament, in order for them to be successful in their long-term decisions, in their long-term viability of their business, they have to stick to the strategy. And so that kind of brings us to what we're trying to say here, and that is that the correct strategy can still result in a loss, but that doesn't mean that it didn't pay or it won't pay over the long run to make those bets. Because if you make the correct bet over time, things will evolve in your favor. at the end of the day, for example, if you go to a casino, you can do everything correctly to play the odds, unless you are the casino. Over time, it's just been shown that the odds are in the casino's favor and they are going to win because they will stick to that strategy. People get emotional and they change the strategy, or they get focused on a micro result. This is one tournament. And so you don't always know what's going to happen. We have another comment here from Donna, and she says diversification is important because the odds and things change. Well, that's exactly these betting organizations that, like FanDuel, that take these bets. They are diversifying. They don't just take bets on one single tournament, and they don't take just one bet in favor of Tiger Woods. They are diversifying their business so that if they do take a hit like this, they can recover. And I think that's an excellent point made by Donna in our Facebook Live audience. And that brings us to what we can learn from this, to our takeaway. And that is that, as I said, you have to stay with a correct strategy if it is a thoughtful strategy that you believe in. In this case, these companies, they did the research. The outcome wasn't what the research said it should be, but first of all, that's kind of what keeps life interesting. It's also a fact that just because something is 99% effective, and we hear that, for example, with all kinds of medicine, things like that. It can be effective for 99% of the population, but maybe you're the 1% that it doesn't work for, so you have to find a different solution. But if you play the game over and over again, that may not have been the best metaphor, actually. I take that back. Let's not use medicine as a metaphor. This is live. That's what happens. Medicine may not be the best metaphor, but if you bet on something and the odds are in your favor of the bet that you've taken, let's say 99%, you might hit that 1%. That doesn't mean you want to change your strategy. It just means you may need to play 100 times to win 99% of the time, or maybe even more. Each time you roll the dice, the odds get reset. So it's important to keep that in mind. I like the quote here that I have for you guys that are in the Facebook audience, and that is something from one of my favorite movies, and that is The Hunger Games, and that is, may the odds ever be in your favor. And then I added, so stick with your strategy, because the odds will be in your favor if you stick with a strategy that is based on rational thought and data and research. And that is what these companies do. And that is what you should do with whatever you're doing in terms of investing and your future and where you're putting your money, is stick with a strategy that works. And don't be put off if you happen to be in that small percentage that at one moment, in this case, in one tournament, you don't come out ahead. The odds are over time. And if you are diversified, as Donna points out, the odds are you will come out ahead.
This show is created by Joe Saul-Sehy, hosted and produced by Bobby Rebell and Joe Saul-Sehy, is engineered by Caden Thompson, and all put together by a pack of well-trained ferrets down here in Joe's mom's basement. You'll find Bobby at the Financial Grown-Up Podcast and Joe at the Stacking Benjamin Show. Go say hi to them there, too. Online, visit us on Twitter at Average Joe Money and at Bobby Rebell, or come join a live recording at our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/iStackBenjamins. I know you already know this too, but Money in the Morning is for entertainment purposes only. You should not act on anything recommended by a bunch of entertainers in a basement or even a Manhattan kitchen without first consulting your financial advisor. And second, dude, have your head examined. Have headlines you'd like us to discuss? Send them to joe@stackingbenjamins.com or put them on our Stacking Benjamins closed Facebook group. This show is a collaboration of Stacking Benjamins LLC and BRK Media LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor Doug, and I reserve the right to always say, we'll see you next time back here on Money in the Morning.